Welcome to this episode of Eat Positive, Be Positive podcast. I'm your host, Jen Matney. I'm a holistic nutritionist living on the South Shore of Massachusetts. I work collaboratively with individuals to identify their health concerns and create a personalized plan to begin their journey to health. I remain deeply committed to educating individuals on health-building foods and lifestyle practices that support their personal choices and well-being. In the Eat Positive, Be Positive podcast, I'll be focusing on the many facets of nutrition, food, health, and wellness, sharing information from my clinical experience, life experience, and what I'm currently studying. Let's go! Quickly, before we begin, please keep in mind this podcast is meant for educational purposes only and should never be used as a replacement for medical diagnosis or medical treatment. Any listener with existing medical problems should consult with an integrative, functional, or medical doctor. Hello to everyone. Welcome back to Eat Positive, Be Positive podcast. Today we'll focus on how to maintain a health-building diet on a shoestring budget. We'll identify some tips and tricks to stick to your budget, and we'll explore this year's Dirty Dozen and Clean 15. Soul foods, if we remember back from recent episodes, refer to seasonal, organic, unprocessed, and local foods. Now, I've mentioned before that I highly recommend eating organic fruits and vegetables whenever possible, but sometimes the price of these items don't fit into our food budgets. Each year, the Environmental Working Group assesses a specific report that comes out every single year. The U.S. Department of Agriculture's Pesticide Data Program Report. It's conducted by the USDA and the Environmental Protection Agency, and they identify the levels of pesticide residue on each fruit or vegetable crop. So the USDA and the EPA release their report on pesticide levels. Then the Environmental Working Group combs through this information to identify the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. The EWG uses this information to alert consumers where to buy organic or otherwise. So we'll be exploring the EWG's list for 2018, and once they release 2019 numbers, I'll update everyone here on Eat Positive, Be Positive podcast. When sticking to a healthy food budget, planning is absolutely essential. Tip number 1 for sticking to your budget is to make a plan and stick to it. Sit down and plan out the meals you will prepare and consume each week. Take a look at what you already have in your pantry and plan for the meals you will make. And only purchase the food items that you know you'll use. Once you've made your plan, remember to stick to your plan. And to help you focus on whole foods, I recommend to shop the perimeter of the grocery store first. All of the processed foods and refined foods live in the middle of the grocery store, all along the aisles. Whereas whole food, fruits, vegetables, meat, dairy, and eggs live around the perimeter of the store. Remember that refined foods won't support your health, so don't waste precious food dollars on foods that will hinder your health. Here's a pro tip from me to you from vast personal experience. Don't shop when you're hungry, and you'll be more likely to stick to your plan. All right, tip number 2 is to cook as much of your food as possible. Eating our meals out of the home can become really expensive really quickly. Some of you listeners might have a lot of personal experience with that. Even purchasing a daily latte or a mid-afternoon treat can really put a dent in your food budget. On the other hand, cooking fresh, delicious meals at home will benefit not only your budget, but your health. And if you feel daunted with cooking meals with whole foods each evening, try meal prepping. Over the weekend, cook large amounts of food for the entire week. And I also recommend to cut down on waste by freezing any leftovers that won't be eaten right away. Home cooking means knowing exactly what is in your food and how that food will affect your health. Now that we've covered tips about planning your grocery list and preparing your food, the next few tips cover what types of foods to purchase. Tip number 3 is to purchase frozen fruits and veggies when necessary. Sometimes fresh produce, especially produce that is out of season, can be really expensive. Frozen fruits and veggies offer an inexpensive alternative that is chock full of nutrients. Frozen produce can be purchased in large bags for bulk cooking that's available year-round. Tip number 4 is to purchase as many fruits and vegetables in season as possible. Now, this option is not available to all locations all year round, obviously, but this tip will help you stretch your food dollar when produce is in season. Not only are seasonal veggies and fruits cheaper, but they tend to have higher levels of nutrients to boost your health. My recommendation is to focus on farmers markets, CSAs or community-supported agriculture, or deals in your supermarket to find the freshest, cheapest produce available. An added tip is to freeze, can, or dehydrate any produce that you have left over. Here's another tip about purchasing foods to stretch your budget. Tip number 5 is to purchase less meat or cheaper cuts of meat. Quality meat and fish can be a real strain on your food budget, so I recommend you look for cheaper cuts, which are a delicious addition to soups or stir-fries or casseroles. And you can use eggs, beans, and legumes for inexpensive plant protein. Not only will you be trying lots of different types of protein and making new and exciting, delicious meals, but you'll be stretching your food budget along the way. Lastly, we have tip number 6. Whole foods that have yet to be prepared are so much cheaper than processed foods. So tip number 6 is to purchase and prepare your own whole foods. Buy whole vegetables, whole chickens to roast, whole blocks of cheese, and bulk amounts of nuts, grains, and beans to prepare yourself in your home. Hummus and soup and nut butters, all of these can be made easily with time and practice. And not only will you save money, but you'll benefit your health along the way. That concludes our tips and tricks for building health and balancing your food budget. Let's move on and identify this year's Dirty Dozen and Clean 15. Earlier, we reminded ourselves that soul foods refer to seasonal, organic, unprocessed, and local foods. Organic meat and produce have been shown to have higher levels of nutrients such as omega-3 fatty acids or polyphenols, and scientific studies have even shown that organic meat and produce contains much lower levels of pesticide residue or other contaminants, such as bacteria. Pesticides are poisons to remove pests from our food, which really helps when our crops are grown in a large field. But when we ingest these poisons over our lifespan, they can be really damaging to our health. Pesticides can lead to respiratory problems, endocrine issues, and even cancer, which is why I highly recommend eating organic fruits and vegetables whenever you possibly can. But sometimes the price of these items don't fit into our budgets. This is where the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15 comes in. Each year, the Environmental Working Group analyzes the USDA's Pesticide Data Program report, which is conducted by the USDA and the Environmental Protection Agency. The EWG uses this report to identify the levels of pesticide residue on different types of fruit and vegetable crops. They then release their report on the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15 to alert consumers like you on which crops to buy organic or otherwise. All right, so the Dirty Dozen from the Environmental Working Group's list for 2018 is as follows. Just a reminder, these are the crops that EWG tested with the highest pesticide residue. These are the crops we definitely want to buy organic if possible. strawberries, spinach, nectarines, apples, grapes, peaches, cherries, pears, tomatoes, celery, potatoes, and sweet bell peppers. For the Dirty Dozen, I definitely recommend individuals choose organic of these crops in order to avoid ingesting pesticide residue. Now, on to the Clean 15. These crops tested with the least amount of pesticide residue. And when you're focusing on your food budget, you might recognize quickly that you pay a premium for organic fruits and vegetables. Purchasing organic can put a strain on maintaining your budget. While I recommend purchasing organic as much as you possibly can, the Clean 15 represent 15 fruits and vegetables that are conventionally farmed to purchase when you need your money to go further. As the EWG reports, the Clean 15 includes the following fruits and vegetables: avocados, sweet corn, pineapples, cabbages, onions, sweet peas, papayas, asparagus, mangoes, eggplant, honeydews, kiwis, cantaloupes, cauliflower, and broccoli. So those are the crops with the least likelihood of containing high levels of pesticide residue. Purchase these non-organic fruits and veggies when you need to stretch your food budget. And once the EWG releases their numbers on the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15 for 2019, I'll make sure I update everyone here on Eat Positive, Be Positive podcast. All right, now it's time for one of my favorite moments of the podcast, food for thought. Before we all return to our next task in our lives, let's think about how this week's information affects our day-to-day lives. This week's food for thought is building health without breaking your budget. How do you maintain your health while balancing your food budget? And how do you want to improve this and stretch your dollar even further? Which tips and tricks from today will you be trying out in your food shopping this week? Sound off on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. I also would love to hear your tips and tricks for building your health while balancing your food budget. Comment on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube to share your tips with the whole Eat Positive, Be Positive podcast family. Next week, we'll hear listener questions. Our upcoming Q&A episode will explore the answers to some of your thoughtful inquiries. Thank you again to all of you who took the time to send in your questions. Which reminds me, if you have a question you'd like to send along, please don't hesitate. Email me at eatpositivebepositive@gmail.com. Also, keep in mind that March is launch month for Eat Positive, Be Positive podcast, which means it's giveaway month. I want to show my appreciation to all of you listeners with a whole month of nutrition meetings for one lucky listener. I'm including an initial consult, individualized diet and lifestyle plan, and 2 additional support meetings. That's 4 meetings for one of you lucky listeners to begin your health journey today. And it's a small way for me to show my thanks to all of you listening out there. Here's how to enter. 1. Subscribe to Eat Positive, Be Positive podcast. Currently, it's only available to subscribe to Eat Positive, Be Positive podcast on the YouTube channel. In the coming weeks, I'll be able to get up on SoundCloud and iTunes, and you'll be able to subscribe in those locations as well, but not quite yet. Number 2, share your love for Eat Positive, Be Positive podcast on a social media platform that you like. If this could be Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, share your love on whatever social media platform you prefer. And 3, review the podcast to send me some valuable feedback. Easy as 1, 2, 3. And once you've done that, just send your email to eatpositivebepositive@gmail.com so I know you've entered the contest. I'll choose a random winner from there. Good luck to everyone. Thank you so much to everyone listening out there. Until next time, be kind to yourself, be positive, and be well.